So we're at the 2020 Palm Springs Photo Festival. You can tell we're all there right now, kind of, virtually at least, in our mind. So tonight we're presenting safety on set during COVID. And I'm Juliette Wolf-Robin, the National Executive Director for American Photographic Artists. APA is a leading photo association of professional photographers working in advertising, editorial, commercial, fine art. We're at apanational.org. Our mission is to help photographers succeed. So we do that through community, education, and advocacy. If you're a professional photographer or emerging photographer, we welcome you to come join our community. As part of that community, you can find a lot of information, including on our YouTube channel. Go to American Photographic Artists YouTube channel, and we have tons of webinars and discussions taking place there that will help give you information about sets and interviews with people. That'll be really helpful for you. So we encourage you to go to that. Tonight we have several long-standing APA members and one fairly new one that I think is going to be joining us soon. They all work in the advertising sector, which means that they're used to being on set with large crews, talent, and clients around. And I wanted to give them each an opportunity to give you a little something about what it's like to be on set during COVID. So, and Othello Banaci is joining us, so we will have him as well. That's great. So Beth Galton is from New York City, and let's start with Beth.
Hi. Well, I just did my first big job since COVID happened. It was scheduled just before the pandemic and was shut down because of the pandemic. I was extremely nervous, and Juliette was really helpful giving me information about what protocols to put in place. And it went surprisingly smoothly. We had a big enough space, and I think the biggest issue for us was remembering to social distance, because you kind of congregate around the computers. Like, it's very hard to maintain and kind of keep in your mind that you have to have that space around you. But everybody was super conscientious. Everybody's masks were on all the time. We had a set medic who was kind of keeping tabs of what we were doing and making sure we had disinfectant everywhere. What else would you like me to say? And the one other thing that we did was, instead of having my crew sign waivers, I created a document that kind of set the parameters of what I expected, that how they would behave on set, and if they had any issues, they would come to us immediately and let us know what the issues are so we could take care of them. And it worked really smoothly.
Great, thank you. Well, let's go around to everybody and we'll see where we end up at the end if we have any extra time. Stuart Cohen, he's in Dallas, but not in Dallas right now, but normally in Dallas, and tell us about your experience.
Hey guys, I'm going to talk about one project we did on a set. So because we were in a confined area on a stage, and that was earlier on in COVID. It was one of the earlier ones we did. And I had known somebody on a ventilator, so it was really real, and I didn't want to get sick, and I didn't want my crew to get sick, and I didn't want anyone associated with us to get sick. And I didn't want the liability in case somebody did. So we made sure that we did whatever we could do to do it right. We read the DGA guidelines, the ICP guidelines, the SAG guidelines. It was a DGA job, so I had to, for sure, follow those guidelines, because that's kind of the Directors Guild, what we had to do. And they were really specific and really over the top, which was good. We sent the guidelines out to everybody on the crew in advance, so they knew how it was going to go down and how they had to act. We had a set medic who took everyone's temperature every day before they walked in. You got a little bracelet like you were going to the club, you know, with the temperature of like what your temperature was that day. And then the rest of the day we had disinfectant everywhere, but you know, they were walking around. We had PAs like cleaning off door handles, and normally on this stage, you know, there's the grips go back to the gear, and nobody was allowed. I mean, the stage had very strict parameters as well, because you know, so they were segregating each department. So like the grip and electric was not mixing with talent, and so on and so forth. just so, and we kept big distance. We had a lot of space, which was good. Everyone had masks the whole time, unless they were on camera. And everyone felt safe and comfortable. Everyone felt like they were doing the best they could. And everyone was really grateful. Honestly, everyone was super grateful for the work, because everybody had been, not working the amount we're used to. The most challenging part that I've experienced so far is the communication with clients. We had video assist with iPads set up. So I had next to me, aside from a director's monitor, I had, an iPad with a Zoom screen, and I could turn them off and on and off, but it was just slower. We had the Zoom, and then we also had another, which was straight through the camera. And then we had another one which showed the whole set, so they could kind of see everything else that was going on as well. We also did pretty intensive pre-pro, just so on the shoot day, of course, it wasn't going to slow us down, because nobody was there. None of the clients were there. So that was the only challenge, is that, sometimes there was a little bit of a time lag, because you're looking at the screen, like I'm looking at this, and a bunch of faces, and it's like, somebody say something, you guys good, but anyway, but in the end, it was great. Everyone was happy, and, it's kind of become the norm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Mark Hill is in Atlanta, and he's also he's the chair of the Atlanta chapter of APA.
Well, I think that I'm kind of reiterating what everybody else has said. Like, the most important thing that I've learned is you have to set expectations ahead of time when you are when you're booking your crew, and also the night before. So we had a COVID questionnaire that we sent out on Google Docs, or actually Google Forms, so that people had to physically read something that said, hey, if you have a temperature, or if you're not feeling well, or if you've been around somebody who's been sick, or if you've been asked to be quarantined, don't come to work, So they had to read this form every day and sign it and send it back to us electronically. So the next morning we had everybody's forms that set their expectations for safety. Then we also, which is a film thing, is we had a safety meeting where we set expectations. We told everybody exactly where they could and they couldn't go. We set expectations for going to Crafty and for food. We told people, like, 10 people can't be in Crafty at one time getting a cup of coffee. So if you set expectations and you follow through with those expectations, people feel safer and they'll feel better about the shoot. And if you're on a smaller shoot where you don't have a COVID officer or a medic on set, it's critical that you put somebody in charge of your COVID safety, so that if someone is making a mistake and they're not following the guidelines, whether it be the photographer or the client, that there's somebody responsible for that, for the safety on the shoot. And that came back to a shoot that I had where I went and took a sip of coffee, and next thing I know, I'm behind the camera. I don't have my mask on. And no one felt empowered to tell me to put my mask on, because I was the photographer. So make sure you have somebody that's designated, that has that power, that can go up to even the highest level people in the room and tell them to shape up or ship out. And that's all.
I got my hand slapped a lot. I still do. That's part of it. So you're right. That's a good point. Yeah.
And Othello Banaci, you are from Washington, D.C. You're a part of our chapter there. And what has the experience been like for you?
For COVID, it's been very interesting, right? Like, for us and my team on my end, we have not stopped production through COVID. So we've been shooting since March, even through shutdowns. But essentially what we had to do was we kept the same crew for the whole year. So the same people, same activities, same interactions. We all are around the same people, and we just kind of created this igloo of these creatives that we have in our sort of circle. And we all wear masks. We almost always keep hand sanitizer with us. My mom's a nurse, so essentially what she forced me to do was to get Lysol and Pine Sol. So I have a whole bunch of Pine Sol, and there's this crazy regimen that I have to do where when I get in the house, I spray everything down with Pine Sol because it has the same antibacterial compound as Clorox does, but it's just a little bit different. And then it's like ginger, vitamin C. At first, she had me gargling like Listerine, like something crazy. But like, yeah, I mean, like my mom is very, very hardcore, and she works at the Washington Hospital Center in DC. So it's pretty strict. And sort of I took that approach to being on set because, you know, around here, there's not many things that we're actually able to keep going. And we were able to keep going, especially on the bigger shoots. We kind of we kept that same crew when things opened up. And then that's when you have your COVID personnel, everyone's taking temperatures. And I had gotten into I was doing physical therapy. So I was getting my temperature taken every day or a couple times a week. So that was an easier way for me to continue to work because I was always keeping track of my vitals. And I feel like stocking up on gloves, masks, hand sanitizer, keeping your vitals up, making sure you like go outside, because when you're just cooped up inside and you're not working, you're not able to just like breathe regular air. And then now your immune system can be compromised because you haven't been going outside. So it's been a rather interesting COVID for us.
And Beth, you had said something to me when we spoke about the size of the set, also based on what Othello's saying.
We had 14 people altogether with the clients and with the agency and the crew and the medic, and we had a 6,000 square foot space with garage doors that open, so we had lots of air coming in, and we could always get away from each other, and there was always fresh air. Fresh air was really important. Yeah.
And did any of you have to get tested or want to get tested or have been tested?
I had my whole crew get tested.
Oh, wow.
And everybody was tested, and I have a shoot next week. We're all getting tested again, and we just keep getting tested. I know it's not totally a sure thing, but it's kind of the idea of we're all responsible to each other, and we have to take care of ourselves and check out how we are, what's going on with us.
Yeah, we have rapid tests on this side. So if you get in line early, if you're like one of the first 20 people, they have this 15-minute rapid test you can take.
Wow.
And I think, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I was surprised. We had a situation where somebody who wasn't around any of the crew ended up testing positive, but he wasn't around anyone for like 3 weeks or something like that. So everyone was like, all right, we're all getting tested just to be sure.
Right.
And all the people that were near him all tested negative because when he got it, he had traveled somewhere. But that's like the kind of risk you take when you have to get on a plane. That's why, when we have to do things, it has to be in driving distance just so that we can physically drive there, do our job, and physically drive back. And we're not dealing with recycled air when we get inside the airplane.
Right. So these are some of the challenges of being a professional photographer right now at the time of COVID. And I hope that next year when we do this, we'll be doing this in person at the Palm Springs Photo Festival. We'll be asking questions that are more related to just being an advertising industry photographer and what are those challenges and not the COVID challenges. But I appreciate the time of everybody here today. These are all APA members. We welcome you to join. If you're watching, please join APA. If you're not already a member, it's all about community, sharing information and resources. Check out apanational.org, and the Palm Springs Photo Festival website will have a lot of content still available until Friday night. So check it out. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you.